Thank you. I've been doing this for years, and yeah, it was really disconcerting. I went to Otakon a few years ago, and they asked me to send a bio, so I did, and they rewrote the bio, and the very beginning of it says, "Tony's been probably doing anime longer than most of you have been alive." It's like, oh god.
That's okay. I've been watching anime that long. Longer than Robotech.
Well, that's a long time ago. And I hooked up with Bang Zoom Entertainment, who's my biggest client. It's the people I do most of my directing with, and they came up with this Adventures in Voice Acting documentary, which, if those of you who've never seen it, it's still available out there somewhere. And it's really wonderful. I mean, not just because I'm in it, and I don't make any money off this, so I'm not pitching this to sell anything, but it's very compelling. It's a 2-hour documentary they interviewed over 100 of us, and we all told our stories. It tells the good stuff, the bad stuff. And at the end of it, I finished watching it after they gave me a preview copy, and I finished watching it, I'm going, God, I want to be a voice actor. And like, oh, cool, I am. So they started getting a lot of questions about voice acting. How do I get into it? And they did a couple classes. I think Lex Lang and Sandy Fox did a couple classes. And I think Crispin did one class. And somebody dropped out, and they asked me to do it, and I fell in love with teaching this stuff. So now we developed a whole series of workshops. There's 3 of them, at beginning, and intermediate, and advanced. They're 1-day, 8-hour-long workshops, and I'll tell you how to get involved in those later. But and so now I go around the country doing this. I teach in New York and Chicago, and hopefully someday here in Denver. And so I do these workshops here at the conventions to kind of give people a taste of it. And it actually is a workshop. We're actually going to send you home with some stuff to talk about. That's me, yes. Because I almost forgot my name. No. I got one of these with Comic-Con on it. They gave it to me. It's like, oh, I got my Comic-Con one. And so that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to give you a little taste of what these workshops are like. I'm going to give you a few kind of tips and stuff you can work on if you're interested in becoming a voice actor. It's a tough profession, and you need some training to do it, and so I'll give you a little bit of that. I also have some scripts here. At some point, I'm going to let you guys come up and try and play and do stuff. I can't dub, because we used to do that, but it costs an enormous amount of money to bring out a rig and an engineer and set it up. There's always technical problems, so we don't do that anymore, but at least we can do a little voice acting here, and I can give you some critiques and kind of give you some direction. Hopefully it's a lot of fun. I hope you enjoy it. I hope my PowerPoint works. Yay, it does. Oh, so that's me. I just explained who I am. And Bang Zoom Entertainment, I do have to give a shout out to them. They are the people behind all this. At Bang Zoom, they do a lot of the anime that you love. Lucky Star, Vampire Knight, Eureka 7, Gurren Lagann, all of that stuff is done right there. And yes, I love that show. I directed Gurren Lagann. I'm so proud of that. Let's talk about what you need to learn. You want to be a voice actor. First thing that I get a lot of when I travel across the country is, well, I do funny voices. Yeah, well, a lot of people do. There's a lot of things that voice acting is about, and what it's not about is making funny voices. I can tell you that in Los Angeles, there's like 5 guys that do all the weird voices. And if I know that I got a weird voice in my show and it's union so I can hire him, I'm going to pick up the phone, I'm going to call Frank Welker, he's going to come in and he's going to do all 17 characters, and you're not going to be able to tell the difference. So funny voices isn't what it's all about. What it's all about is acting. So the first thing that you need to learn is acting. Okay? You have to be an actor first. Acting is all about connecting a character with the audience. Okay? Acting is all about, if you think about it when you're watching your favorite show, your favorite anime, your favorite movie, even reading your favorite manga, okay, what is it that brings you back time and time and time again? It's that connection you make. It's a character that you care about, okay? And what acting is all about is learning how to connect with the character yourself so that you can portray that character outward to an audience. In academic terms, when you go to college, they teach you that acting in theater is about creating a willing suspension of disbelief. Okay? What that basically means is by engaging the audience in such a way that they just kind of for a minute forget that they're watching something fake and really get emotionally involved in it. And that's what acting is all about. A lot of what acting is about is also becoming childlike again. One of the, all of us as we're growing up, especially, as you get through the teenagehood, as a kid you don't care. You're just pretending, you just get into it, you really go for it. But as we get older and older, we start to get all these, well, we have to behave this way and we can't be that way. And until you get to be an adult, and now I have to be serious, and I have to be, and all that stuff. Especially guys, we're pressured into not being emotional, and to be, on the ball and macho and all of that stuff. Yeah. I'm gonna have trouble with you, aren't I? I'm just kidding. So one of the things is you want to get out of the way. You got to learn how to be a kid again. You got to learn how to get rid of all of that self-doubt, that that self-editing and all that stuff. Those of you who like Dune, it's all about getting rid of fear, because fear is the mind killer, okay? So that's what it's about, getting rid of that fear. And you do that by taking acting training. Because you need to learn to realistically convey emotion and character through your voice, face, and body. Now I say face and body because you're going, what face and body? I'm in a booth. But there is physicality to what you do. So one of the first things that I think if you want to be a voice actor that you need to get involved in is theater. Learn how to be up on a stage. Look, you're a performer. I mean, even though you're in a booth by yourself with a microphone, if you're doing anime, there's a fly here. You're also performing. You may be in a booth in front of a microphone, but you're performing, so you got to get some experience in how to perform, and the best place to do that is the theater. All right? It's weird because a lot of people go, theater? I got to get up in front of people. But yeah, as a performer, that's what you have to do, and that's how you get rid of some of that self-consciousness. Theater is the thing that translates the most to the booth. Think about it. Film is all about being small and quiet and in your eyes. I sucked. I did 5 movies. I was terrible in them because I was all really big and broad, because it's all about really, really being small. Theater is about being bigger than life. Well, being on a microphone is the same thing. It's about being a little bit bigger than life because you don't have face. You don't have your body. All you have is your voice to convey the emotion. And the better you get at being bigger and broader than life, the better you're going to be. The other thing that theater teaches you is it teaches you how to project. Okay? I'll talk about that in just a second. The other thing is you got to get accustomed to performing. So the places you find theater, community theater is great. Church theater, a lot of churches have theater ministry. If you're into going to church, it's a great place to do it because not only are you doing theater, you're doing something nice for your community. Community theater, they are all over the place out here. When I was 19 years old, I moved here to Denver to be a ski bum. And the first thing I did is I found a community theater and I did a show out here, out in Longmont. There was a place called the Longmont. Actually, that was professional, kind of. They kind of paid us. They fed me. But I did a 20s review out in Longmont. There's all sorts of theater out here. This is actually a great theater town. There's a lot of it. It's a lot of good theater, by the way. But is the Boulder Dinner Theater still around? Is that still around? They did some great productions when I was here. I assume they still do it. You have a university right over here. University of Colorado in Boulder. They have a theater program there. I'm sure the community colleges thing to get involved there. Community theater, college theater. If you're going for professional stuff, great, but there's a lot more competition when you get paid. So it's more important that you get on stage and get practice than it is that you get paid. Take acting classes. Take acting classes as much as you can. And take it from various different teachers. Everybody has their method. You can come to my class. I think I have the greatest workshop on the planet, okay? And I can come and teach you everything I know, but if it doesn't work for you, what good is it? But you can take some of what I did, and maybe you take a class from Crispin. Crispin Freeman does voice acting classes in Los Angeles. He's quite good. We trade our students a lot because his style is a little different than mine, and they complement each other. So stuff that I teach doesn't necessarily work, but maybe the stuff that Crispin teaches does. So take it from different teachers. There's no one method, by the way. And you're going to hear all these methods. There's the Actor Studio and Stanislavski and all of this stuff. But all of these methods are all about just getting back to being a kid and being able to pretend and being able to feel, which gives you the basic secret to acting. Here's the big secret. Don't act. It's all about feeling. The way you create a character is you start with the emotion of the character. What is this character feeling? Okay? Then you have some ways the character might be broad or big or small or something like that. But you always start with the emotion of the character. So don't act. Feel. If you feel first, usually what's going to come out of your mouth is at least going to work somewhat. If you think about it, if you're in your head, it never works. That's when you hear people in high school where they're acting their asses off, but it sounds like they're reading everything, and that's because they're doing it from their head instead of from their heart and from their gut. So you always want to feel first. And all of these methods are all about that. And take the preparation very seriously. Another class that you should think about taking, and not think about, you must take, is improv. Okay? This scares the hell out of most people, okay? But because improv is all about that. I'm not funny, I'm not a funny guy. Okay, but I actually still, at this point in my career, I have an improv group I work out with every couple of months. I go there and work out, and it's a way to get kind of loose. What improv teaches you is how to get quick, how to keep your mind, how to get out of your head, because you just have to react and react and react and react and react and not be embarrassed. Because if you suck at improv, oh well, you can move on. Other people will support you. You want to approach improv not from the attitude that I got to go there and be funny, but you got to go there with the attitude that I got to go there and be quick and in the moment and just not fall. Okay? But one of the first jobs you will get as a voice actor, at least in Los Angeles, is doing a thing called Bits and Walla. And Bits and Walla is all those little conversations in the background. You know, there's the main characters, and then there's the people in the back that are doing all of that stuff. That's one of the first jobs you're going to get. And a lot of the way, and none of that is scripted. So you'll be in there with a group of 3 or 4 other people in a little booth, and they'll say, okay, this is 2 minutes of restaurant. This is a Chinese restaurant, by the way, and these characters are all probably in their late 20s to early 30s, and you two be a couple, and you two be a couple. At last 2 minutes, go. And you got to just talk. You just got to do it, and that's what you're getting paid to do. And Bits and Walla, if you get into major motion pictures, pays very well. Okay, and it's fairly easy to get into, but you got to have some improv to do it. The last one I did was Hoodwinked 2. See, you can hear my voice in Hoodwinked 2. It's there. Oh, this is a longer workshop. Great. Do you have any questions about that? I can actually stop for questions on this one. I usually don't have the time for that. Okay, hi, go ahead. Depends on what you want to do. Actually, I don't work in Texas. I've never worked in Texas. There's one major studio in Texas that does anime, and that's Funimation. ADV went out of business, and now they're back under a different name, and they're starting to do some productions again. But that's just Texas, and that's strictly anime. They do some games there, not many, and they do some commercials there. So I work in Los Angeles. I live in Los Angeles, and that's where most of the major studios are. So. At Bang Zoom, where I do most of my direction, up the street is Studiopolis. We're all in like a 6-block area. Up the street is Studiopolis, where they do Naruto and Bleach and shows like that, and do original cartoons and things like that. If you want to get into regular big animation, Los Angeles is where you have to be. If you want to do anime, the greatest place to get into anime is Texas, because they have a smaller talent pool, so they're always open to new people. They also pay a lot less than they do in LA, and under different rules and stuff like that. Getting louder there. I may close that door in a minute. If you want to do commercial work, which is where the money is, by the way, for voice actors, the money really is in commercials. LA, New York, Chicago, Dallas. Just a little bit done here in Denver. Some done in St. Louis. And if you have a Canadian, if you're able to work in Canada, Vancouver and Toronto. A lot of anime is done in Vancouver, actually. Death Note was done in Vancouver. So, yeah. You like Death Note, huh? Oh, good. Good show. I was so upset we didn't get it. You had a question? What's a good improv game to play? Oh boy, there's so many. I like when I'm working with casts and trying to get I directed a live action pilot for a kids comedy show. And one of the ways that I got the cast going was do a I call it Mr. Answer Man, where you ask a question and the group has to answer one word at a time. So you're always reacting off the word before you, and you have to make a cohesive sentence. And after about 10 minutes of that, you really get fast and good, and it brings the cast together. So that's one of them. I like Repeat the Scene myself, which is where you do a scene, like 5 or 6 lines of a scene, and then you come back and you do it the same exact dialogue, but now you do it Shakespearean. And you come back and now you do it as a sci-fi. And my favorite was, now you come back and you do it with everybody has deja vu. So you start saying the line and you know, it's that sort of thing. The big thing is it's all about learning how to act. Because when you get in that booth, and you got 3 people on the other side of the glass, and there's a lot of pressure, what you need to do is turn your brain off, feel, act, and just be, and have fun. It's no good to do this stuff if you're scared the whole time. Yeah.
I have to think about it. What's your personal note for yourself? Because I'm going to be honest with you. We watched Desert Con, and we're watching that hilarious 4th episode.
not sure I remember what you're talking about, but inner pervert, I'm so scared now. Look, when I'm doing scenes like that, there really is, the answer is nothing's on my mind. I try to turn my brain completely off and just react, just be there in the moment. I'll tell you a little story. There was a director I was working with. She actually directed Vampire Night. And but she's not an actor. She came from the filmmaking side. She's actually a director of photography who came through as a film director, a documentarian, and now she's directing anime. Interesting path that she took to get there. So sometimes she has a little trouble talking to actors because she doesn't know the vernacular. And I was in there doing my thing, and she says, no, that's not the, I need a different take, and she explained kind of what she wanted. So I'm up in my head. I read it a different way. No, that's not it. And I read it this like 9, 10 takes. I'm reading it one way, I'm reading it another way. I'm trying to think about what it was that she wanted. So finally, after about 15 takes, I just said, let me do it one more time. And I just shut down my brain, kind of got into what this character's feeling, and I just let whatever come out of my mouth come out. She said, that's it. And this is the way the whole session went. I really learned that what you got to do is shut this off. Nothing on your mind. What the character feeling, feel that way and just react. And it's interesting, since I started doing that, I was able to come up with a lot more voices. There's a lot of voices I do now that I never used to do, including villains with big, deep voices. I've channeled Steve Bloom a couple of times. It's okay, I told him. The next thing you need to work on is your voice. Oh, one more thing on the acting thing, reading. Reading is really important. You spend most of your time with a script in front of you that you don't get to see before you go. There's no memorizing, you're reading. And you need to get to the point where you can just read. So I will give you an exercise you can do at home, okay? Pick up anything that you can, that you haven't seen before. Avoid newspapers, magazines, because newspapers' grammar sucks. There's a lot of misspelling. A book or a magazine that you've not read before. Open up to a page, pick it up, and just start reading out loud. Nice and out loud. You'd be walking around the house reading out loud. A couple things are going to happen. First of all, your family's going to think you completely lost your mind. But you're anime fans. So they already think you've lost your mind. The other thing is you're going to stumble a lot. You're going to trip over it, you're going to go, what the hell's Tony talking about? This really sucks, it's really difficult. But eventually, after a while, you get to the point where it just starts going in your eyes and out your mouth, and in your eyes, and you circumvent the brain area. And once you can do that, then you're not focused on the words. Now you can just focus on the feelings and on the emotions, and now the character starts to live and get deep. And so it's a very good exercise. It was given to me by a gentleman by the name of Art Hand. At Art Hand, I took a voice workshop, and he was the voice of CBS back then. And he went, Tony, you're very glib as an actor, but you sound like you're reading. And so that's why, because if you sound like you're reading, forget it, it's all over. Nobody's going to bring you back. So that's a good one to do, okay? Yeah, so that was it on that. The next thing you need to work on is your voice. That's the other part. It's voice acting, okay? So we talked about the acting part. The other part is your voice. Your voice, this is the mechanics of acting. Your voice is based on, the best analogy is a bagpipe, okay? A bagpipe is a big bag of air, which most of us actors are, is a big bag of air that you squeeze, there's a muscle, you squeeze it with your arm and it blows air through a reed which vibrates and causes a sound to come out of the horns, okay? Well, your voice is the same thing. Your lungs are the bag of air. Your diaphragm, which is a muscle right here at the bottom of your lungs that pushes up and down, is the muscle. And your voice is the reed, and it vibrates your vocal cords, your vocal folds. Those vocal folds are attached to bones in your face and your neck. Those bones vibrate, it rattles around your sinuses, and that's what your sinuses are, by the way. They're a natural amplifier. It amplifies it, and then your voice comes out of your entire face. And not just your mouth, it comes out of your entire face. And if you've ever seen a Broadway show or a big show, you notice they put little microphones right up here. These are called bone mics. What they do is they pick up the vibrations in the head to give it a little bit of oomph. Now your mouth is there to give the words shape and form and all of that stuff, but it's really an entire thing. And the basis of all of that is breathing. You have to breathe properly. Now one of the things that would happen is when we're all in elementary school is they say, okay, everybody suck in your breath, and everybody's like pulls in their stomach and puffs out their chest. That's exactly the wrong way to breathe. How many in here are singers? Okay, so you guys know what I'm talking about. You can't sing if you're doing it that way, okay? I like all the singers in the room, cool. I've been singing my whole life. It's my favorite thing to do other than this. So you need to learn how to breathe, and breathing is all about the diaphragm, okay? It's all about, when you breathe properly, your chest should stay still, and it's really like filling your abdomen with air. So if I'm breathing correctly, I'm gonna show you this, my nice belly. I'm gonna show you this. When I breathe properly, it's gonna come like this. Notice my chest isn't moving, but it's all right here. So if you do that, and when you breathe from down there, most of your air power is down here, not up here. This is the smallest part of your lungs. So if you get down here where the diaphragm is, and you let your diaphragm push, and you breathe through your diaphragm, a couple things are gonna happen. Number one, you're gonna get much clearer. It's gonna push the thing right up in your head. Because basically, you have to get to the point where you can fill an entire room with your voice without a microphone and without sounding like you're shouting. And that's all done with it's all done with the diaphragm. And the reason that is the microphone really doesn't amplify you. It just picks up what you give it. And if you're just giving it this, that's all it's going to sound like. And if you can't project, you can't work. You need to project. The other thing is the projection, your voice works like a radio carrier wave. The way FM radio works is there's a wave, there's a carrier signal that goes out, and then that carries the actual sound on top of it. Your breath, your voice, the breathing part, that's the carrier wave. The more you can project your voice, the more you can project the emotion that you're playing. I know some people that are acting their asses off in the booth, but I can't hear them, and so I can't feel them. So you need to learn how to project your voice. There's a great little exercise.